Now we're going to have a lot to talk about this stone that we're looking at right here, and I know I just published a video, but information is coming pouring out with more specifics about how Season 3 for Diablo 4 is going to look like. I just want to get a couple updates out very quickly, give you a little bit of the context, and let's go ahead and talk about these stones because they're kind of ridiculous. Most notably, first, the actual news post from Blizzard itself has been updated with the missing governing stone. If you saw my video I just posted, basically we're missing one of the ones from this base list, and it looks like we're going to get Flash of Adrenaline. Flash of Adrenaline says it's going to give a small duration damage boost to your character itself. So here is something that I thought was oddly missing from the kit of the character. Gave us defenses, gave us healing, gave us the ability to do more damage to targets, but it didn't have anything that directly boosted us. And there you go, it's right there. So I'm glad that we finally got it so we know what the current list looks like. And I thought we were going to have to wait until the patch notes dropped to be able to see the rest of this. Tyler Culp here on PC Gamer actually just dropped the PC Gamer exclusive covering some of the information, most notably about the missing tuning stone that we hadn't seen previously. Most importantly, what you should pull out of this article is that it looks like the actual tuning stones are going to be unique tuning stones. So the tuning stones all have rarities attached to them. We kind of already knew that, but whether or not it was going to follow like rare, legendary, unique was kind of up in the air. And it said that the unique ones, most notably the two missing tuning stones, are going to be on the uber level of rarity of drop, and that getting one at all is going to be a bragging right. When speaking with system games designer Sean White, they had this to say. Let's just say this, if you were to find a unique tuning stone, that is in and of itself bragging rights, because it's going to increase either your own power or the Seneschal's power, like, let's just say a lot. A lot, very many a lots. I like how they talk in general. I'm glad we got the entirety of the quote in there. But now we're actually seeing more information about the UI itself and then these stones in particular. And I'd say let's just go ahead and start it off with a bang with the Evernight Unique tuning stone. It has the audacity to say that whenever the skill is activated, you're going to gain +4 skill ranks for 2 seconds. It also very specifically calls out that it's acquired by defeating the Echo of Malphas. Now in Season 1, we're able to fight the Echo of Arshan to farm them over and over again, looking for malignant hearts, and it looks like we'll be able to farm Echo of Malphas for these stones as well. And if they have the drop rates of Ubers, that would be pretty ridiculous, unless we're talking about the drop rates like they are for Duriel, as opposed to just in the game in general, which makes a lot more sense to me if we're expecting anybody to actually find one of these during the season itself. So it looks like Echo of Malphas will be added to the rotation of endgame bosses that we farm, and almost certainly, or at least I hope so, that the new uniques coming in Season 3 are going to be part of their drop table, because if fighting this boss over and over again just to get tuning stones and various components to be able to power them up, it's not a terrible thing, but it would kind of stink if we just sit there and do a single boss rotation just to do this one system. Whereas things like the Blood Harvest, you could find additional potent blood just by running dungeons and fighting blood seekers that would ambush you, etc. So I'm hoping there's a bit more to the fight than just farming for these materials, because everybody is going to be so tired from having already spam farmed Duriel in Season 2, which we're going to need to do again in Season 3 if we're hoping to have those same Ubers available for our builds, and adding another boss that you're only farming for a single Uber to drop might get a little tiring for some returning players. All of that is speculation. Obviously, we don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but Echo of Malphas is where we're going to farm this thing, and it says a mini Shaco effect whenever they use this skill. So being able to put this onto any one of the very fast attacking skills that you can apply the increased attack speed tuning stone as well as the cooldown reduction tuning stone means we might be able to pretty effectively maintain a permanent +4 to all skill ranks, which is pretty bananas considering there's nothing stopping us from also throwing on a Shaco natively. And then something that you won't notice until I actually bump into the next screen that is kind of interesting as well. Here we get a look at the resource support tuning stone. This is the one that says that a player is going to gain primary resource when the supporting skill first deals damage. And this one's already a rank 4, with resource gain increasing to 9 during the next rank. So if we were to assume that this starts off at 5 primary resource at rank 1, 3 ranks each got them +1, and it looks like it goes all the way up to 10, meaning that theoretically this ends up at 14 additional essence gained every single time that this skill is used, potentially increasing in scaling as ranks get above 5 here. And it also tells you how much progress is needed to reach the next rank. From what we understand from the first article, you're going to have to craft these stones and merge them together to continue to increase their rank, giving you like a pretty decent sink for these materials. But the very specific thing I wanted to point out is that while these are both tuning stones, Evernight says rank 1 of 1 and does not have a progression additional information tooltip section here. So I don't think this is going to level up. That makes sense, right? Like, how do you make this more powerful other than increasing the duration? And if you were to get much higher than 2 seconds, maybe that's some kind of weird breaking point where there's no effect in the game that's faster than 2 seconds. So it's expecting to not have 100% uptime. I don't know. Again, that's also a bit speculative. I imagine there is a universe where as long as you're using the fastest skill with the most cooldown reduction, and depending on how this robot actually scales with us, right, there's no way where it doesn't scale at least in part to some of our stats, probably similar to Necromancer minions in that way, where they might inherit some percentage of our overall skills and stats, etc. But it is also nice to know that this thing's power is going to be hard capped at +4 ranks for 2 seconds, unless there's just missing information from the UI element in this like early release picture that they had. We also get a look at the Dusk Support stone here. So it is a rank 2 stone, and it says that it's going to convert 50% of the supported skills damage applied as shadow damage over a 5-second period. It's nice that it's a long period like that, meaning that we'll be able to benefit from damage reduction from shadow damage targets, as well as damage to shadow damage targets over a really decent duration. You'll also notice that the interrupt chance looks like the thing that is scaling here. So it starts at 10%, it gains 1% per rank, and that the next skill rank will bump it up to 12%, so that 50% of the skill's damage looks like a constant number that's never really going to change here. And theoretically, again, just following out this math, it looks like it is going to max out at a 19% chance to be able to interrupt an attack. I actually can't imagine it going much above 20 anyways, but the number being this like weird odd number at 19% really leads me to believe that there might be a difference in rank scaling. Again, like maybe like past rank 5, it bumps up to 2% or something. I don't know. Just ending at 19% chance to interrupt while like perfectly arbitrary and it kind of doesn't matter seems like a weird number to me. And then lastly, we actually get a look at one of the governing stones. So this is the auto defense governing stone. It's the one that probably is either going to be absolutely necessary or just not used at all. But it says it has a speed of 1.5 seconds. So I assume that that means like a total length of time it takes to occur. So this might be the attack speed or the animation speed. And that says that's a cooldown of 25 seconds. So it's actually really interesting to note that it looks like the cooldown on this is hard stuck at 25 and should only be able to be manipulated by the tuning stone that says reduce cooldown. And then here, the specifics of the stone say that the construct will activate an anti-material field, we already know this, around itself, shooting down up to 18 enemy projectiles, lasts for 5 seconds. And then you'll see that the skill rank limit increases up to 20 projectiles. So I think it's already very interesting. I'm not exactly sure anybody was expecting this to have a hard limit on total number of projectiles that it can stop. But this is going to be something that's going to be incredibly valuable. Again, if the traps in the vaults have like a set number of projectiles that you know they're going to fire, you know at exactly what rank your skill needs to be at to be able to stop the majority or all of the incoming missiles. And the fact that it not only has a hard limit on how many it will stop, as well as a time duration limit, also helps to kind of understand what the relative power of this thing is. Because at maximum, it's only going to last for 5 seconds. It's never going to increase in duration unless you have something that says that the duration of the skill increases, which is another one in the tuning stones. I just want to say thank you to Tyler Cope, who gave me the heads up. They're like, hey, you know what? This thing is out there. I know you were kind of asking about what this thing was going to look like. The article's up. Go ahead and check it out. We also have these additional screenshots. Thank you very much, Tyler. I do appreciate that. And yeah, let me know what you think. There's like some pretty wild information that we've already sussed out here. Obviously, we're going to get a lot more of it tomorrow in the live stream, but I think it's very cool to see this information early, just kind of get the gears churning and get a better idea of like, what are we expecting to do in this season? How powerful do we really think that we're going to get? But quite honestly, this thing's saying +4 ranks for 2 seconds every single time it uses this skill. Just toss this onto whatever the fastest skill is and just have permanent +4 ranks to all skills. Seems pretty bananas wild. And another great thing about it, I know I'm in the conclusion here, but I just kind of want to touch on this as well. I'm currently doing like some pretty wild stuff to figure out how these companions can directly buff the characters themselves. Because while there's clearly some systems and some effects that are going to make us stronger, I wasn't seeing where they were going to somehow magically meet the like doubling of our damage that previous seasons' powers have brought to the table. And if this thing is one of the options for how these robots are going to interact with us, the characters, then my fears are currently assuaged. That's like pretty bongos bananas levels of increased damage output just from this thing kind of like swiping its robo leg around. But as always, let me know what you think. If you're new to the channel and you haven't been here before, consider subscribing to it. It helps me out a ton. We're just about to hit 40,000 subscribers, which is like insane. This time last year, I was sitting at like 9,000 subscribers on the channel, and we had over quadrupled over last year. And I'd love to just keep that growth going. So as always, if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button, it helps me out just to no end. So thank you so much. If you could also toss a like onto the video, I would really appreciate that as well. It helps YouTube algorithm to know that, hey, other nerds should see this stuff. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions, concerns, ideas. What are you thinking about? How are you theory crafting? How do you think all of this is going to play out? I'd love to hear from you. And as always, thank you so much for watching this video. I truly hope that it helps, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.